I wanted to turn my Carrera S into a GT3, but doing it properly is insanely expensive. So I went the cheap route, and that's where things started going wrong. Last time, I might have got lucky with the exhaust, but now everything comes down to this bumper, because if it doesn't fit, none of this works. So, I've gone to pick up the bumper, and here's a bit of a walk around. Actually, he's done a pretty good job in terms of getting this all lined up and the shape. It looks fantastic. So yeah, this is kind of the moment of truth. I thought from here it was going to be fairly straightforward. A straightforward refit. But as it turns out, a couple of things didn't quite go to plan. Okay, so quick bumper cleanup, getting it all ready. And now I'm going to start mounting all the wiring harness that I've taken off the Carrera S. And I've marked all the various locations. I've 3D printed some harness holders that allow the clips to go on. And I'm just going to super glue these now and hold them in place. Now I'm just going to plug in all the parking sensors. I'm not sure if the ordering really matters, but I marked all the sensor locations again and just copied them from the Carrera S as well. Now it's just a case of refitting in the reflective lenses. I polished these all up. They had a couple of scratches on it, but that's all sorted. You can see those cutouts on the bumper. They look nice now it's been done. So with that bit done, we needed to fix the plastic trim. It was a bit rough, as I showed you in the other video, so I went through various layers of sanding, and then I used this texture coating spray, and yeah, it came out really good. I was really happy with this. I've cut through a lot of the actual work on this, so yeah, I'm just showing you now as I dry it off, but you can already see the finish. It looks almost brand new, to be honest. Then it's just a case of remounting the trim on. The trim just clips into place. It's no more difficult than that. It's quite hard to push on, but it's just all plastic push fit. And with that now finished, the bumper really is starting to look like almost a complete item. Got the Porsche logo badging back on. All that's left to do now is the vent trims and the parking sensors, and yeah, really happy with that. So the vent trims, I'm cutting through a lot of the footage here, but I 3D scanned it again using Polycam, 3D printed it, and then I'm just plastic welding it on now, and then tidying up some of the plastic weld clips that peek through the other side. So that backfired on me. Leaving it overnight, I've come back down this morning, and the super glue option, I knew it was stupid. Lo and behold, the parking sensors just popped out. That's not going to be strong enough, so I'm going to have to find another route. So I had to sand down the parking sensor mounts, and then I used some much stronger glue. This stuff is really good, epoxy glue, and it effectively gives a really strong connection. So yeah, put some of that on, push that in, and then just bond it around the edges just to make sure it's set on nice and tight. And I had to do this for all the other three that were still left. And they are now super solid. Let's get these parking sensors mounted back in. So I used a bit of washing up liquid just to make sure they fit in nice and easily, and that's it, they were done. From here, I thought it was just a case of putting everything back together, getting the sensors in, wiring sorted, and then straight on with the bumper. But that didn't go quite how I expected. Right, let's carry the bumper out and get this thing hooked up. In terms of visually, I'm not regretting this. I think it looks fantastic. Now I'm just going to move these cables out of the way, and it really is just a case of getting all the varying holes and slots lined up so we can stick the bolts in. But first, I just want to make sure it definitely goes on properly now I've refitted all those brackets. So on this side, seems to line up. It's a bit tight. It's just not quite going back on properly. Yeah, that is definitely not fitting. Yeah, it just won't push. It won't push back any further. That's as far as it will go. So from this angle, you can obviously tell because the sides aren't in on the car. Doesn't matter how hard I push, they won't reach those clips. And it turns out what the problem is, well, certainly this is what I thought the problem is at this stage. I'm going to give this a crack. I'm just going to cut back some of this foam. I've got a foam cutter and I'm going to cut back this crash pad so it'll still go on the car, but this should allow the bumper to push all the way back on. Okay, here goes again. The crash bumper's been cut back. No, it's still not pushing on properly. Doesn't matter how hard I push. Yeah, it's not the crash pad. Right, if I just get a camera down here, we might be able to see what it's catching on. It's pretty tight up in there. Okay, yeah, I think you can see the problem now. That bumper bracket clip is pressing on that exit vent from the charge corners. Yeah, okay, gonna have to see if I can trim that back a little bit more. Right, I've trimmed that back with a Dremel. Pushed again, and it looks like it's starting to go back on a bit easier. Right, let's just press ahead. I'm going to get all these lights clipped in now and start rebuilding the back of the car. I've got the two side lights, got to get those in. We've got the light bar to fit, get the lights and bumper bolted in properly. And now it's just a case of getting this ducktail spoiler feed. And I've got to admit, I'm not going to show you this bit. It's a bit bespoke, but it is quite painful putting this bit back on. The clips are so hard to get to. Okay, just bolt up these trims underneath, and that really is what keeps the bumper on nice and tight down the bottom. And it's looking really nice. Okay, and now this bit I haven't done before, but I'm hoping this is straightforward. Come on, it's gotta be. Just get this diffuser fitted. Man, it does not seem to want to fit. I thought it was going to be flush. Look at the size of this gap. So yeah, that doesn't fit, which means I've got a bit of a decision to make right now. I could try and build something custom, a frame, some way of holding it on properly. I've still got that gap to consider, or I look at something like a GT3 bumper carrier, but I don't even know if that's going to fit, and when I looked, they're £800 plus. So I've either got to accept that this isn't going to work and I go back to what I previously had. Genuinely don't know at this point, so I'd be interested to know what you think I should do. And if you want to see how it turns out, feel free to stick around. Cheers, thanks for watching. I'm Mark, and I'll see you in the next one.